some wonderful products manufactured by Edible Supply. I'd like to introduce you to their edible cake paint. It's cocoa butter based, so it's almost like working with oil paints. You can texture it, you can airbrush light on dark. I absolutely love it. I'm going to show you how well it takes fondant. You can actually airbrush directly onto this, and the great thing about this is you can layer the cocoa butter on this. I'm actually going to be airbrushing a brick wall, and then once the cocoa butter dries slightly, you can texture it so it looks like true brick. So let's start off. I'm working with a top feed airbrush. The air compressor needs to give you a burst of 40 psi. With the cocoa butter paints, you need to heat up the cocoa butter. Cocoa butter is a solid product, but when melted, it becomes fluid. So if you have 3 or 4 or 5 different colors that you're working with, pop them into boiled water, boil the water, put it into your container, and set the bottles in there. Don't boil the water with the bottles in there because you don't want to overcook the cocoa butter. Simply sit the bottles in there for a minute or 2, depending on how many bottles. I have 9 bottles here, so I left the bottles in the water for 2 minutes. If you have less than 5, I would only leave the bottles in there for 1 minute. Put the lid back on and give it a good shake to temper the cocoa butter and to combine the color and the cocoa butter. Working with this airbrush, I'm actually going to make this a red brick wall. Pour the cocoa butter into your top feed and airbrush almost flat with light, gentle strokes. I'm going to turn this around. You can see that I'm airbrushing over the top of it from a horizontal angle. Turn this around and airbrush from the other side. Just catching the edges of the bricks. Also from the side, keep layering it because the objective here is to layer it so that we can texture it. By coming from an angle like this, what's happening is you're not getting the air color, the cake color into the grooves, and that will highlight the bricks. Keep turning your turntable, working with nice even strokes. Don't scribble, otherwise the color will come out of the inkwell. See, you're getting nice definition on the edges of your bricks and a nice layer on the top. The colors are dark and rich, so you're going to get your piece that you're working on colored very efficiently and very quickly. So there we have it, almost done. I'm going to let it dry for a couple of minutes, maybe 5, 2 or 3, 4 minutes, depending on the temperature in your room and the humidity, and then go over it with a paper towel to give it a rough brick look. To clean out the airbrush, simply airbrush hot water through it. It will clean it out so you don't have to worry about the cake paints clogging up your airbrush. That's not going to happen if you keep them nice and warm. So that's quite a nice texture. If you look at that, you can see the grooves in between quite well and the bricks stand out. So I'm going to leave these for a few minutes to cool, and we'll come back and add a little texture. You want the cocoa butter cake paint to be slightly moist, not too dry, not set up completely, just moist enough that it will take on the design of the paper towel. It's an awesome effect. I know you're going to enjoy this. So we're going to continue. This is almost dry, not quite, but dry enough that I can take my paper towel and just gently pat over the surface, and this is what's going to give it texture to make it look like a brick wall. So it's going to take on the rough texture of your paper towel. A little bit of paint has come off onto the paper towel, and there you have your textured brick wall. That looks very realistic, and it smells like chocolate.